But looking back at it now, I definitely realized that that was our first test of perseverance.
Yeah.
And just what I do now, and I know we're going to get on this and stuff as well, but I believe that was God's way of testing my perseverance and saying, okay, how willing are you to dig in and fight and battle to get to what you truly want?
Yeah.
How willing are you going to what are you going to do? Are you going to fold, or are you going to continue to just keep going and keep going and keep going? And I don't know any other way to describe it other than the fact there could have been, outside of those walls, a war going on. There could have been bombs. There could have been just mass chaos happening. And I literally just didn't care.
Yeah.
I just didn't. And it was like, I could seriously stay in this space forever.
What is up, everybody? And welcome back to another episode of Between the Reps, episode number 20. It's crazy. We're moving, we're grooving, we're making it. And I'm enjoying it. The momentum's going to keep going. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to continue to bring you guys episodes. I know I say that every introduction, but I found something that gets me excited about what I'm doing. I have a passion for it, an attention to detail to it. And to me, this is fun. Editing, coming up with show notes and the ideas and different topics to bring you. I will say I'm going to make a post here soon. If you guys have any guests that you want to have on or any topics that you want to cover, please reach out to me and let me know. Today's guest is Brock Everhart. He is a business owner, an ultra runner, and I'm really excited to share his story with you guys. From turmoil early in his life to problems as a young adult, and just transitioning and taking his passion and the things that he went through and taking that into ultra running. And now with his business, Build Pursuits, he trains runners, athletes, and just going to dive into a lot of his story. So I'm excited to bring you guys today's episode. And without further ado, Brock Everhart, I hope you guys enjoy the episode. Give us a follow, share, like, subscribe, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. I hope to see you guys real soon. Brock, how we doing, man?
I'm good. How are you doing, Granger?
I am good, man. I'm good. I appreciate you hopping on this evening. I know we both have pretty busy schedules, but I'm really excited to have you on and kind of talk about your journey with your business you're growing and just kind of your transition into the running space and now coaching other runners and just kind of go through your life story. You have a very interesting story, so I want to hit on a few different topics and see where the conversation takes us. So if you could, man, you're an ultra runner, you're a coach, you have your own training business. What has been, I know we've connected in the past, I think year and a half is when we connected, and through X Church, and just kind of tell your story, man. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
Yeah. No, first off, thank you very much for having me on, man. It's super fun and to watch you do this and stuff as well. So I grew up in Washington Courthouse, Ohio. So I lived there till 18, until it was time to go to college. So I graduated from Miami Trace in 2000 and then went to college in Columbus. Went to get my computer engineering technology degree from DeVry. So I got my bachelor's and not kind of knowing what I wanted to get into, but computers at the time was the way to go.
Yeah.
So
that was like the internet boom, right? Around.
Yeah. So that was kind of just right past that. And I remember my dad saying at the time, because I'm like, I have no idea what I want to do. And he was like, well, computers are the future. And so it was like, it's like, if you can get into robotics, if you can get into computers, then that's where you need to do. And, to be honest with you, is like, just even to hear you say, start my business, starting this stuff as well. It was kind of like, it felt like that was one of those things again, to where it was like, I was relying on somebody else to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Where to go. This is what you should do. And started kind of like, because honestly, I had no clue. I had no clue what I wanted to do. So fast forward a couple of years, get my bachelor's degree and got into healthcare. I got into field service engineer for over 20 years. Yeah. And so it started kind of just dabbling a little bit in the whole fitness journey and just trying to, because to be honest with you, man, it was like just kind of just going along and not being involved in exercise, not being a runner at all.
Yeah. And you played football, right? In high school.
Yeah. So we'll kind of back up to that real quick as well. So I definitely, from the time I was 5, played t-ball, baseball, played football, played basketball up through high school. And then my main sport in high school was football. Love football. And kind of jokingly say is that, running was the last thing that I wanted to do. I absolutely hated it. And I know that, just even hearing you say this plenty of times and talk about it some of it too, is like, when you do things that's kind of like the punishment, that's like the last thing you want to do. And that's what you always relate it to.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, but no, so played football, always loved it. Loved it. But, I can remember, kind of even watching the cross country team and watching the runners and stuff too, is like, man, why in the world would anybody ever run for fun? Why would they ever do that? So you're watching them while you're doing your thing. So in college, kind of, would work out, play some pickup basketball every once in a while, kind of, we would have fun, in college and stuff, but it was just never one of those things where it's like fitness was never at that point, again, was not a priority, to be 100% honest. And so then as kind of just move along a little bit, ended up, my wife and I, she basically got to become a nurse practitioner. She became to get her master's degree. And during that time, just honestly, just kind of just felt very unfulfilled. We did not have a daughter yet. And so we were trying at the time, and infertility was our story.
Yeah. And I wanted to hit on that a little bit, if you don't mind talking about
totally.
it. I know a little bit about it, but just talk about what that process was like. And I know for you, both of you guys, like that kind of also led you more into faith, and just, it opened a very hard time in your life, but opened so many doors, I think, for you and your wife. And you have a beautiful daughter now, Bailey, correct? And just excited for you, man. And just to hear that story, I've heard you talk about it on other platforms. I'd really like you to give like the listeners a little insight on kind of what that journey was like.
Man. So definitely going to apologize if I get a little emotional on you, dude.
It's okay, man. It's okay. Completely
You kind of
understand.
think after you've told the story a couple of times that you think you kind of gotten past some of that stuff. But
yeah.
It's definitely, infertility definitely is one of those things where you don't realize how common it is, and especially, so, at the time, dude, so let's go back. So this was like 2012 time frame.
Okay.
And again, kind of just like, to be honest, just going day by day, man, kind of just no purpose, doing a job. Sarah, she's working hard to get her master's and stuff as well. And I was just kind of just trying to stay out of her way, to be honest with you, so that she could study and stuff. And then when it came time to the weekends and everything, it was go out, to be honest with you. Go out, be out late, have fun at the bars, restaurants, whatever, and so the two, and get back from friends and so the two, and get back home. And that's kind of what the story was. But at the same time, it was like just kind of just realizing how we were dealing with the stress, how we were dealing with everything. And so then, but then also seeing like, as we're trying to get pregnant and we can't, you realize like as a man in that you kind of just start, I don't know, maybe seeing insecurities coming out. You kind of start seeing some, just some of your own flaws. It's like, what's wrong with me? This is all me. And I'm trying like heck to, have a baby with my wife, and we cannot.
Yeah.
So then in that time frame, we were at a previous church at the time. And dude, I just remember I was on the leadership team within that church, and sat down with 3 other guys in a room. We were in a circle and we were praying at the end of our meeting that night. And it came time to me to pray, and I couldn't. And I just went into tears, and they prayed over me. And it was one of those things where I felt a peace. It was like, okay, something's happening. It's got to be okay. And I think that through that process, it definitely, I won't say that our marriage was strained, but I would definitely say that there was definitely stress felt
for sure.
Within the marriage, because it's like, you see your wife doing everything that she can, and then she starts taking the infertility, shots, the injections, and then I'm giving them to her in her hip and her quad, and just all this stuff, man. It's kind of like, what is wrong with us? We're doing everything right. God, what is wrong with us?
Yeah.
And so as we continue to roll forward in the whole process, we just God has a way of just connecting you with the right people. And I've realized that, even more so in like the last like month, and how just even going back to all the way in like 2012, 2013, what that looks like and stuff, to where, we were just guided in the right direction, started feeling more at peace with the direction, and got with an infertility clinic here in Columbus. And man, he just immediately was just so positive and calm with us. He's like, you guys are going to have a baby. It was like, I'm glad you think so, man, because this ain't working yet.
We've been trying everything and it's not working. And man, I just to go back real quick, you talk about the stressors, and my situation with Emily and I, we had no issues. And to hear the stories, because there's some of our friends that we hear, it's very hard for them, the things that they've had to go through. I just couldn't even imagine that, and what that feels like within your marriage. And as a man, like you said, how much burden and how much pain you're taking for that, because you want a family and that's the end goal, and it's our job to show up and serve our family, protect our family, and you just feel like the shortcomings and you're falling short. And man, I applaud you for sharing the way that you have shared and being vulnerable with that story, because it's not easy, especially the ego we have as men to, we're going to fix everything, and the willingness for you to sit down with someone and allow them to basically come into your life and pray over you and just share your story, man. I really applaud you for that. Sorry to interrupt, but I do applaud you for that, man.
No, I definitely appreciate that. Man, you're right. It's like, we expect to, that we can have all the answers, that we can, just like you said, that we can fix everything. And then when you realize you can't, but, and it's like, but at the same time, it's like, but how can we support our wife? How can we support, our family the best that we can? And maybe it's just by listening. Maybe it's just by, just hug something, just your presence, a calm presence. But at the time, yeah, I would definitely say it was hard, man. It was hard. But that doctor actually ended up, through all the blood work and everything, found an issue with a pill that Sarah was taking for a pituitary tumor. And she had taken it for the longest time, and it was suppressing her hormones. And he was like, we're going to try backing off. And so we did. And her numbers looked better, but not quite there, And so then in this, we're trying the IVF. We're trying the transfers and stuff as well. Just with, I think we went through 3 transfers and 2 IVFs through this whole process of trying this. And he was just trying to kind of like dial in the numbers and her values and everything. He's like, you know what? Let's just take you completely off of it. We're just going to watch you. And when as soon as we did that, pregnant.
Yeah. Wow, man.
Yeah. And I remember us being at the Circleville Pumpkin Show on my birthday, standing right there. And because we had, gone for numbers and we've done all this stuff, and just so many times of hearing, you're not pregnant. It's like, but Sarah looked at the phone and she was like, it's the clinic. And I'm like, okay. And, dude, heard the phone on the speaker and stuff. They're like, you guys are pregnant. And that was on my birthday. And gosh dang, man, what a birthday gift.
Yeah.
We just hugged right there in the middle of that street. My parents were both there with us, and we just hugged and cried.
That's incredible, man.
Gosh darn, it's like, all the stress, all the, just everything. It's like, but you still feel like, okay, this is great. We're pregnant, but what do we still have to look out for? Because, we don't want this bubble to be burst, but looking back at it now, definitely realized that was our first test of perseverance.
Yeah.
And just what I do now. And I know we're going to get on this and stuff as well, but I believe that was God's way of testing my perseverance and saying, okay, how willing are you to dig in and fight and battle to get to what you truly want? Yeah. How willing are you going to what are you going to do? Are you going to fold, or are you going to continue to just keep going and keep going and keep going? And dude, I'm telling you, I think that Sarah and I, as it definitely, strengthened us as a couple. Yeah, man, it was just amazing. It truly was. And so then a few weeks later, just around her birthday, we ended up finding out again, that everything was good, end up going in for an ultrasound. We see that heartbeat. And it's like that glow on the, the ultrasound stuff, just the glow and the just like little burst, from the heart rate on the screen. And dude, it was just like, you know what? God was sitting there saying, I'm here. Right here I am.
I know for the people that aren't parents, that was probably one of, when we had Sage, our first, I was nervous. I was scared. I'm like, I'm not ready to be a dad. I have no idea what I'm going to do. It's fairly early. Emily and there's so many different things going through my head. And when you see that heartbeat, you kind of just like, I don't know, there's just a calming presence over you. And you're like, we're going to figure it out. It's going to happen. And that's our child. It's a beautiful baby that we're going to love. And no matter what happens or what we go through, the things we do are for our kids. And being able to work through that, man, that's incredible. That's incredible. I applaud you on that. I applaud you. I do. Because I mean, I couldn't imagine going through that process and just trying to stay strong, man. And it's a testament to the things that, yeah, like you said, we're going to talk about, and some of the dark days that you've been in and some of your races. And I think God always has a plan. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Percent. Yeah, that was his way of just preparing for what else he had in store for the journey,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, man, yeah, football, high school, you were an athlete, a little bit of pickup basketball. What was the first thing that kind of brought you to running? When did you pick it up?
Yeah, it's kind of a little funny story is that, so I started lifting weights, really got into lifting weights, and I really liked it actually. In that same time as, we're getting ready to have Bailey and stuff, and just started kind of getting into that a little bit. But
Yeah.
So I'd try to run every once in a while. I was like, it'd be kind of cool to, run a 5K at some point. And so just go out, take off sprinting down the road. And it's like, not even get half a mile down the road. And it's like, dude, I can't do this. How the heck do people run, a marathon? This is ridiculous, So I'm walking back home. And so like a few days later, try it again. It's like, dang, it's like, I can't do this, And so that would be the end of my running career, And so then a little bit later, try it again. It's like, nope, still ain't happening. I still can't do it. And just super naive, dumb,
Yeah.
maybe is the more appropriate word, just not know what I was doing. And so then in 2017, I'd end up seeing at Brewdog. We went there for dinner one night at the brewery here in town.
Mm-hmm.
And they they had a sign right there saying first 5K, like their inaugural 5K. It was coming up. And so I'm like, okay, maybe that's my sign that I actually need to train for something, that I need to figure it out. And I did. And so I went ahead and just started, I was like, you know what? Just taught myself how to run 3.1 miles, And it was like, just didn't follow any plans, just kind of just went off a feel. And I'm like, I'm just going to go so far and just come back, go so far, come back, and just go easy, don't worry about the pace, just go easy.
Yeah.
And dude, did it and loved it. And that was in 2017. First 5K, loved it. And so then it's like, all right. And so then, crossing the finish line on that is like kind of having like a nice little runner's high,
Yeah.
and out there, and did pretty well. I couldn't tell you what my time was now, but did pretty well. And so then I'm like, well, let's do another one,
Yeah.
And so then I think I did one or two more 5Ks. And I remember my brother calling me, and he was like, hey, because he had done one of them with me as well, or a couple of them. And he was like, hey, you want to run a 10K? And I was like, dude, you're crazy. I was like, there's no way I can run 6.2 miles. There's just no way. And he was like, well, think about it. And I'm like, It's like, well, maybe, I'm being challenged for a reason, And so we did, and did pretty well, and I really enjoyed it. And so then someone else comes and tells me, it's like, hey, maybe you should run a half marathon. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like, all you people want me to die,
Yeah.
And same thing, man. Ended up just jumping into, a plan and kind of just manipulating it a little bit to my schedule and what worked for me. And now that I go back and look at it, I guess I was kind of becoming a coach without knowing it, because I'm coaching myself. I'm learning how to adjust this plan to me and what works with my day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that was a half marathon. That was in 2018, I believe. So yeah, so it was just within like a year, so a year and a half or something like that. So then it was doing a half marathon.
In that year, man, went from a 5K to a half marathon. That's impressive.
Yeah, thank
With
you. Yeah,
no formal training. I know what got me into running, and I did the same thing. It was a 5K. It was the forget it's at Nationwide. It's not the Columbus one. It was like in August. It was like August 3rd. I think this was 2023, 2022, maybe. I think 2022. It was the hottest day. And I crossed that finish line. I thought I was going to die. I said, I'll never run a race ever again. But I changed my clothes. My mom and I went to brunch, and I was like, this is actually pretty fun. This isn't
yeah,
bad. I'll take
yeah,
it.
yeah.
But yeah, man, that's crazy. So you do the half marathon, and what's next? Are you in love with it? Are you like just kind of a novice runner, just doing it for fun? Like, when did you kind of start to transition and like, this is what I want to go after. This is the thing I love. I enjoy this.
Yeah. Yeah. It was actually not long after that, the same friend that kind of said, hey, maybe we should do a half marathon I remember talking to her and her husband. They're both super good friends,
Yeah.
talking to him on the phone. And they're like, so Brock, you got to go for a full marathon now? I was like, actually, I am. Or like, are you really? It's like, yeah, I'm going to. I'm gonna
Nice.
figure it out, and I'm going to do it. And so end up going after that full marathon, and dude, it was awful. Just like you're saying and stuff too. Oh man, you're in that back half there, and it's like, good God. And again, it was Columbus, so you know how it goes and stuff. That back half,
Yeah.
man, and especially the back half of that back half. Anyway, but now it's like, got done with it. I think I got home and slept for the rest of the afternoon. It was like, just completely just dead. And of course, nutrition was not any close to where it needed to be.
Yeah.
Drink, none of that back in the day, And yeah, but so I got done with that. And then the trail love started.
Started. Okay.
Had a couple buddies and stuff that said, hey, so this was going into COVID now. And so then they were like, hey, but there's going to be a trail marathon up at Mohican. And they had moved it to October because of the COVID and just everything that was happening.
Yeah.
And so they're like, hoping it's October and end up happening just with, restrictions and stuff. And so started trail running. And dude, loved it. Just absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
And they had to reroute the course up there and stuff as well, but loved it. And so got done with it that day, and I'm like, I think we're onto something, and just clicked. And so then, as soon as I got done, I'm like, you know what? Gonna do that one again. Well, the next year in 2021, it was back to its original date in June, and so hot. It was so hot that day for that marathon. And it was up at Mohican. It was middle of June, and I completely crashed to where I got super dehydrated. And I mean, I couldn't see. It was bad, man. And end up crossing the finish line. And I remember my wife and daughter, I was like dry heaving out in the parking lot
Yeah.
afterwards. And my daughter's just staring at me. And I'm like, Bailey, I promise you, this is not what it's supposed to be like. I promise you. Please, because I'm trying not to ruin her on running before she even
Yeah.
gets started.
Ruin the experience.
Right. It's like, dang, if I run, I'm throwing up, you know? And so, but we had rented an Airbnb, and they got me back to that Airbnb, and Sarah had bought it's like tacos and like, tortilla chips and all this stuff. And dude, I'm just trying to put down the salt and trying to put
Yeah.
down the calories, and just trying to because I mean, I was completely just depleted, like
Yeah.
nothing and barely moving. And later on that night, I came back. I was like, okay. And dude, I don't know what was wrong with me that night. But all of a sudden I look at Sarah and it's like, we're going further. And she's like, what? I was like, we're going to figure this out.
Yeah.
And so that was in September of 21. No, I'm sorry. That was in June of 21. And I found the Hocking Hills 60K, 37
Okay.
miles
Yeah.
trail run was in September of 2021. I was like, I'm forcing myself to figure this out, and figuring out the nutrition, figuring out the drink, figuring out everything. We're going to be okay. And so I worked on that for 3 months leading up to that race. Like, how can I dial it in and get it figured out to where I'm not doing this ever again? And dude, went and got that 37 miles in that September, crossed the finish line, felt so good. And so then we're headed back home from Hocking Hills. And I told him, I was like, we're going further.
That's that's awesome. So you do the Hocking Hills, it's 37 miles. What was the big drastic change in those 3 months from the Mohican to the Hocking Hills? Like what did you work on? Did you find a coach, or was this just like self-taught research? Like what did you
Self-taught, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, self-taught. And I'm kind of one of those people that I'll be honest with you is that, when I kind of get into something that interests me,
yeah,
done. I'm all in. We're figuring it out, and I'm going to not stop until I get it figured out. That's
yeah,
it. And just started doing a lot of research on okay, and buying supplements, figuring it out. Figuring out the electrolytes, figuring out all this stuff. And it's like okay, again, finding that next plan. I found a 50-mile plan for the 60K because I'm like, okay, but obviously I don't need to run a 50-mile plan for a 37-mile plan or for a 37-mile race.
yeah.
So manipulated the numbers, figured it all out, kind of compared and just pulling data. And it's like, okay, let's do this. A lot of treadmill running because then I wanted to hit the incline on the treadmill. I wanted to hit the decline on the treadmill, use that as much as I can because I can't always get to the trail. And so in running flat roads, just at times is not going to help with the training.
Yeah, especially for those trail runs, you're
Yeah, yeah. So just figured out the mileage, figured it out with the drinking and just constantly like train the nutrition.
yeah.
It's just as important to train in nutrition as you are training the miles. You have to train all that to make sure that you're going to be good for race day.
And that's like the biggest thing I've learned is do nutrition. I think the half I did 10 times better that we just did. The full back in October of last year, that was my worst part is because I knew what I was supposed to do, but when I was training, I could just kind of push through. I didn't realize when it got to race day how important it really was. Because I was like, I ran 22 miles and I was fine. My nutrition was whatever. But then you get in that environment and you're really pushing it. You're running at race pace. I'm like, yeah, I got to like mile, I think maybe 14. I was like, I physically can't keep doing this. I
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
keep running at this pace or I'm literally going to die.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my heart rate is showing that right now.
Yeah, and it's 185 and it's been 185 for the past 5-6 minutes and I need to slow down.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I'm physically going to pass out on this course.
Yeah, and it's so easy to get caught up in it though, isn't it? Like, with all the racers, with just all the runners, everything that's happening with the whole environment. It's so
Yeah.
easy to get lost in all that.
And you get going too. I think my biggest on the full was I took off and you don't know about your shoes. You don't know what you don't know. And I got brand new shoes, didn't really break them in. I wore them like maybe a few times before the marathon. I should have worn my other ones. There was just so many things that I didn't understand about running outside of, I can make the plan. I can dial in my mileage and the actual training portion, but everything else that goes with running, the nutrition, your gear, and you don't need a lot of gear, but it is important to make sure you have the right shoes. I remember I ran my first 5K in not Metcons, but they were basically Nike training shoes. And I was like, dude, looking back now, I was like, what was I doing?
But it's like you said, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah.
So and and that's the thing. And you said it as well, is that a lot of people think, well, running is just running, just go out and just run. It's like, well, it depends.
It's an art form. The more I get into it, the more I'm becoming. I guess I would call myself a runner now, but the more I do it, I'm like, there's a science to this, and especially on your nutrition. There is so many different, which we can get into, and some of the stuff that you're working on for some of your clients it's a science. There is a science to the nutrition portion of your runs and even just your workouts. Like learning a bunch of different things has translated to high rocks and a bunch of different things that I'm currently doing now. Like even just in the weight room, my nutrition, I always used to train fasted. Now I never train fasted anymore. There's just so many different things, man. And I'm excited to get into to that as well. But back to the 37 miles, you do that, you knock it out. What is the next challenge? And moving into the ultra running space and really building that community and starting to meet some different guys, what is the first like major race that you like, I'm going to go after this. I'm going to do this.
Yeah. And it's funny. Like, as we got home that day, picked up some food, brought it home, and we're eating dinner and kind of just like, but I'm immediately like on my phone, looking for it. Like, seriously, like, we're home within an hour. I put down my food. It's like, what's next?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm going to do a 50 miler. I'm going to do a 50 miler. Going to do a 50 miler. But dude, something in the back of my mind, in my head, kept on saying, it's not enough. You got to go for 100.
Yeah.
And I'm like, then I'm having this internal, people might think I'm crazy as I'm saying this, but I'm literally having this internal conversation myself. It's like,
Yeah.
you run 100 miles. That's crazy. Just do it because you can do it. And I think that right there, it's like, what's the point of setting a challenge on yourself if you know you can already do it?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, let's face it. It's like, if I know I can do a 50 miler, and I'm not saying that to be arrogant or anything like that whatsoever, but it's like, I wanted something that honestly that could possibly just like challenge me towards like, what am I possibly like capable of?
Yeah.
What can I go after that is possibly just going to just teach me, it's going to help me grow and stuff as well. And so that was in September. That took a couple months, honestly, just to figure that out, because I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no clue. And so I remember talking to Sarah, and she even told me, she's like, you can complete a 50. Just do that. Take baby steps. Keep taking baby steps as you're going along this. Well, ended up going to a half marathon in Kentucky with her. We both ran in a half marathon down there. As we're talking, I was like, Sarah, I'm sorry, but I just can't put 100 miles out of my mind. So I'm signing up for 100. She's like, you know what? We'll figure it out. And so we did. So that June of 2022, did my first 100 miler at Mohican, and ended up asking several people for help to crew, to pace. It becomes a team, as you're pulling your team and stuff as well. And everybody I asked said yes to be a part of it. So it's like, you know what? There's like, that kind of just means that's a God thing.
Yeah.
It's like, because dude, talk about a crazy question to ask somebody. Hey, you want to come like crew me, pace me, help me, be on the team for me to run 100 miles. You're going to be out in the woods in the middle of the night, with headlights. We're not going to eat, and, you're not going to be eating what you want to possibly eat or whatever too. And no sleeping is going to be amazing. You want to join? And they all said yes. And there ended up being literally like, including myself, there's 10 other people, 11 total on that team. So staying in the same house, like, for a night, to get there and stuff. And they all supported me. I had 4 pacers, and dude, IT band friction syndrome got me at mile 40. I remember feeling so good. Oh man, it's feeling good. And then my knee started hurting at mile 40. And Sarah asked me, she was like, what's wrong? And I was like, nothing. And so but she knew something was up. So anyway, mile 40, that happened. And so then I'm trying to run until mile 60. My first pacer comes in, and Brandon, and he's like, and I was like, man, I'm hurting. And he was like, you know what? He was like, the more that you try to run, he was like, you're not getting anywhere faster. He was like, you need to hike. So I hiked those last 40 miles to finish out that 100 miles, dude. And, but I'm telling you what, again, is, even then, I don't know, man. It's just crazy. It's like the only thing I could think about was getting to that finish line, not quitting.
Yeah.
Just don't quit. But dude, it hurt.
That's the biggest thing too, man, is you put that in your head from the get-go. Like, you're not going to quit. You're going to finish this race. Back to the perseverance of all the things that you have gone through up to this point. And I think it's set you up in your life for success, is being able to go through the adversity. That's a lot of things that I see with people getting into running, or they're getting into fitness, whatever avenue they're going down, is just the inability to work through adversity, whether it's physical or the mental. I think having that solid foundation of just understanding, like, yeah, it's going to suck. You got to get that out of your head, that it's going to be easy or you're going to breeze through it. You just got to tell yourself it's going to suck. It's going to be hard. It's going to be terrible. And at the end of the day, just even in the marathon, I didn't get the time that I wanted, but I knew I was going to cross that finish line.
Absolutely.
And it's just because I had the self-respect that you're building, and just your daughter's watching, your wife is watching. You're setting that expectation, that standard for your family. And I think that's amazing, man. So what was that last 40 miles of just hiking? What was that like?
Tears.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, man, I want to be moving so badly. I want to do this. And the very first thing you think about is like, like I mentioned the whole team that was
Yeah.
there. Like they didn't sign up for this.
Yeah.
They didn't sign up to see me hobbling through the woods in the middle of the night, and hallucinating out there and doing all my, whatever. But we dug in as a team and they just supported me like crazy.
That's
And,
awesome.
it's like just so many times for that night that I can still remember to this day,
Yeah.
and it's like just I don't know, just craziness. And it's like, but like you said though, too, I know my daughter's watching.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I'm trying to tell her to do this, not necessarily just go out and run 100 miles, but if I'm telling her to stick with it in everything that you always do, but she sees me bow out, I will do anything that I possibly can to never let that happen. Because I want to show her what it means to just, again, dig in and continue to go after what you need, what you want, what's set on your heart. I want you to just do it.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome, man. That's awesome. That's incredible. And that's the standard you're setting for your life, and you're continuing to move that way and in that direction. So 100 miles, you get that done. You're probably done with it. And you're probably kicking yourself in the butt a little bit. Like, it's not physically that you couldn't finish it. There's just injuries pop up. There's different flares ups, stuff that is constantly out of our control. What is running through your head? You're probably instantly like, what's the next race? I want to go after. I've proved to myself that I can do it. So what's next? Yeah.
Yeah. What's kind of crazy is kind of want to speak on this real quick too, because I'm sure that you've witnessed or felt this as well. But I had already taken that first week off or I had taken that week off after the race, just because I was kind of just preparing and like not to be hurt, but
Yeah.
just be like, I'm just kind of just chill because all the time I put into this, I'm just going to use that as some time off.
Yeah.
And just kind of almost that. So I actually kind of skipped around a little bit. I didn't start running again for a month after that. Had to go to PT, got MRIs instead of two, and it showed your IT band is completely it's blown up. And
Yeah.
so you need to get this thing, taken care of. But like within that time frame though, I'm like, dang, it's like all this buildup to this major, major thing. And now all of a sudden there's nothing on the calendar. And dude, it's kind of a letdown. It was just weird. It was like this negative headspace happening to where it's like, okay, that's it. I'm done. I can't run. I can't move. Now what?
Yeah.
But it just going through the PT, and all of a sudden you just start kind of realizing like everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Everything's just fine. And so I'm like, you know what? We're going back to Mohican next year, and we're going to get it. So because I wanted to get sub 24 hours in that very first one, I wanted it so badly. Ended up finishing. Well, actually, I got a tattooed on my leg. 28 hours and 50 minutes is what it took.
And you hiked 40 miles.
What's that?
And you hiked 40 miles too.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like,
yeah,
I would just be eating myself up, just knowing like I would be itching to get back, especially knowing that it was something that was really out of my control that hindered me from my goal. Man, you had to be on fire, ready to go once PT was done and you were able to kind of get back on the road. And
you know what? And it was a blessing in disguise too with the PT, because it taught me, hey, this is how you strengthen your knees.
Yeah.
This is how you work on this muscle group. This is how you work on that. And so it was like, okay, so how can I incorporate that into my strength training to where then I can get that 100 miles?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like you said, when they're like, okay, you can start running again, try it. I'm like, okay. They were checking my form. They checked my gait. They checked all that stuff. Went through the checklist on just everything is like how to make me better.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, this is kind of a blessing in disguise. It's like I get all this attention when I wouldn't have thought of this stuff, So, yeah, as soon as I signed up, opened registration for that next year, I'm in it. And dude, I'm gonna get that 24 hours. Whatever it takes, I'm gonna get it.
Yeah.
So that next year, ended up it was Sarah and Bailey that crewed me, and one of my buddies came in halfway through, and that was the team.
Nice.
I didn't have any pacers. I didn't want any pacers. And no offense to any of the pacers I had before, because they were amazing. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do my thing. You know, I'm going to get that 24 hours. Well, I do remember during that race. So this is a loop course. So it's like, okay, basically it's 4 loops. So after the third loop, several of my friends from the team before, or from the year before, they were there at the end of the loop and stuff. And dude, I was in a bad spot mentally. Man, got one more left. And I'm hurting again, it's 75 miles into this race and stuff. I'm like, okay, all right. And I keep on, but I'm looking at the watch and stuff. I'm like, I can still hit 24 hours.
Yeah.
But man, I feel awful. Gosh, it's like, just mentally and just in this dark, dark, dark spot. And, it's Bailey ended up, saying a couple of things to me is like, Dad, you got this,
Yeah.
it's like you got, and so ended up by finally getting up. I think I was setting that tent for like 15 minutes and end up getting up, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to just try to run. And it's like, see what happens here. And I start running and David Goggins started screaming in my head, and just kind of like the voice and stuff as well. It's like, hips are on fire, everything hurts and stuff at the same time. But it's like, you know what? How about you just embrace it? How about you just embrace this moment right now and just see what you can do for 25 miles?
Yeah.
See what you can do and see if you can get there. And I remember that night, dude, I felt like I was screaming through those woods. Probably wasn't. I don't know. But at the same time, it was like, but I just remember being so focused on that trail on my feet. And I remember praying out loud, just keep my path straight and just lift my feet, God. Lift my feet, keep my path straight. Obviously, this thing's zigzagging all through, but just guide me. Just guide me. And ended up finishing sub 24 hours. And yeah, dude, it was, oh man, it was just, it was amazing. It truly
Yeah.
it was. But even by that time, we got done with that and I felt good. It's like I felt good, when I finished that. And so then I'd already signed up for another 100 after that as well. It's like, we're going to figure this again. We're going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out. We're going to continue to move forward. So I ran Burning River 100 that summer as
Okay.
well. That was in July. So that was just a month and a half after Mohican and sub 24 again. And so I'm like,
Go.
okay, sweet. And that fall, I ran my Grand Canyon rim to rim to rim, my first one, and I did it solo.
Okay.
And so then this was all in 2023. And so then
Okay.
Grand Canyon, you run from one side of the canyon to the other and back as fast as you can. And so then had a life-changing moment
Yeah.
during that. And it's like, dude, I was gaining so much fulfillment through these races in the community, meeting amazing people, talking
Mhm.
to amazing people. And I just, again, was just in a career that just didn't seem to just do it for me. And I remember praying to God for purpose. It's like, just give me purpose. Just show me what it is. And in Grand Canyon on the way back to the South Rim, just had a life changing moment. And God's just telling me, he's like, dude, he's like, you're not where you're supposed to be. You need to be
Yeah.
doing something different.
Yeah. And
And
that
but go
and
ahead.
that leads you into kind of the stage you're in now in your life and just all the things that kind of you can look back to that moment of even just going through the situations of trying to get pregnant and trying to find your way a little bit during that time. You come forward and you have that moment. I want to speak on like kind of that for a second, if you would hit on it and kind of just give us an idea of what that felt like. I know from just you talking to me about it and just kind of your testimony of that I've heard from church and just kind of what was that like in regards to your being there and you kind of have this all of a sudden moment like I'm not supposed to be in the current space that I'm in. And what was that like? What was that feeling like?
Weird,
Yeah.
but so amazing, man. So amazing. They stopped right in the middle. So they call it the box, right? So the Grand Canyon. So when you're down at the bottom and they call it the box and you look up and you see the canyon wall that's up there. I mean, it's just high as could be. And I realized I'd been by myself for like 2 or 3 miles at this point. Yeah. So it's like, cause I'm on my way back and it's like, wait a second, I haven't seen anybody for a bit,
Yeah.
And it's like, but you look at the right side and it's like, you see this just massive wall coming
Yeah.
up. You look at your left side, you see this massive wall. And in front of you, the way the canyon works is that it looks like there's a wall in front of it, but there is obviously a trail that goes down through there. But then I turned around, I looked to my back as well, and it looked like a wall. But obviously, I'd just come from that point. But it's just the way that the canyon works, the way
Yeah.
that it zigzags through there. It just literally looks like you're in a shoebox. And love that place, man. It's amazing. But I looked up, and the sky was the bluest of blues I've ever seen in my life. And I'm just looking there, and I just have this greatest, and this is why I tell people again too, is that sometimes it's okay in your run to just stop and embrace the moment.
Yeah.
Just pause for 1 second and just listen to what you're supposed to hear in that moment. Because if I would have kept going, if I would have been listening to music, if I would have been listening to anything else, I would have missed this totally. But literally, dude, I felt the greatest sense of solitude come over me that I've ever felt in my life. And it literally, and I don't know any other way to describe it other than the fact there could have been outside of those walls a war going on. There could have been bombs. There could have been just mass chaos happening. And I literally just didn't care.
Yeah.
I just didn't. And it was
Yeah.
like, I could seriously stay in this space forever just because it just didn't think about anything else.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it was like, you're not in life where you're supposed to be. You need to be doing something greater. You need to be doing something different. And so I'm standing there and I'm like feeling this, and it's like still in the solitude. I'm like, I gotta get back.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I gotta get back because Sarah and Bailey are waiting on me at the South Rim, the top there and stuff. And it's like, I gotta get back and everything. So that was in October 2023. It was actually on Friday the 13th in 2023.
Okay. Okay.
So I don't believe in luck. So that's kind of, I planned that a little bit. So, but anyway, they end up, getting out that night and stuff. Ended up talking to Sarah later that night about it and stuff. As we're driving back, they actually, Sarah and Bailey hiked out the last mile and a half out of the canyon with me. And dude, what a family moment, man.
Yeah.
It's like I just got done doing rim to rim to rim, and they're finishing it off with me. It was so special. But talking to her about it, and a few months later, so I was at one of my customer sites, and she was like, Brock, people just need help in taking care of themselves. And I was like, dang, am I supposed to be a coach? Am I
Yeah.
supposed to be helping people have that same moment that I just did?
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily like, so I've said like, have their Grand Canyon moment. Doesn't have to be in the Grand Canyon,
Yeah.
but how about I help them do something they didn't think was possible, pursue that thing that, find out what they're actually capable of, but what if they have a life-changing moment in that as well? And so, yeah, so then ended up, that was, from October to January, but I think like end of January of 25. So wait, is that 25, 24? I'm sorry. So October 23 is when it happened. Then January of 2024 is when I signed up for my NASM certified personal trainer, nutrition coach, performance enhancement, all that stuff. And then worked on that stuff in 2024, man, and got that in July. And so in the meantime, still doing other races, did another 100, and doing this stuff. And talking to a couple buddies at a big group run in Hocking Hills. And a couple of them pulled me off to the side, and they're like, we think you need to start your own business.
Yeah.
And, I think that, when I say that and just some of the other ones that I've said is like, I think you should run a half marathon. I think that you should do that. I think the guy kind of puts these little, things
Nuggets.
in other
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they put you or put them in your path,
Yeah.
because otherwise, would you listen to it if it wasn't someone else saying it?
Definitely.
And so it's like, because when people see something in you in that, it's hard to believe that, it's like, cause I was also have heard on a podcast before that if more than 5 people are telling you the same thing, then that means that you need to be doing that,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, so they're like, you need to start your own business. I'm like, dude, I don't know how to do that. Well, it just so happens that they both had worked on their own business, started their own business, and they're like, we're going to guide you. So that was in August of 24. So a couple weeks later, that was actually, it was, it was on my wife and I's anniversary, because I ran with them that morning and came back, and Sarah and I and Bailey went out to celebrate our anniversary. A couple weeks, 3 weeks later, I submitted for the LLC for Build Pursuits and got it. And I'm like, okay, it's like, what's happening here? What are we doing? And so, yeah. And then fast forward just a couple more months, was connected with amazing people, man. And again, I do believe that when you start getting into the purpose that you're supposed to do, when you start to find your path, again, God's going to put people in there, and the right people are going to come in your path at the right time to continue to just guide you along the way. either they're in their experience of what they have or they see something in you and they're going to encourage you and support you in it. And I was talking with, she's now my PT. Maddie was talking with her on the phone and just talking about the next steps and just talking about business and everything. And this is before I'd even gone to her as one of her clients, and she was like, so we're talking and I'm like, Maddie is like, this is going to sound so dumb. I'm like, but this just popped in my head. I just realized something. I'm like, I can't do it if I'm not doing it. And she was like, you're right. I was like, so I think I need to just resign from my job. I hate using the word quit. I need to resign from my job. And
Yeah.
she was like, Brock, I think you do. And Sarah was already on board. She was full support. She had been trying to talk me into it, honestly, for a while up to
Yeah.
that point. And so then after that conversation with Maddie, that very next week, beginning of the week, I turned in my 3-week resignation. And
Congratulations, man.
yeah, dude, I appreciate it, man.
That's
Yeah.
that's a huge step. I know. I think we probably met not too long after that, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you were telling me just that story, and just I remember talking to Emily about it. I was like, I mean, he is truly following his passion. Like, he quit his job. He's done or resigned, has done everything that he said he is going to do. And he's just capitalizing on the opportunity that God put in front of him. And I think that's, again, man, I keep saying this, but a testament to who you are and just the little moments that you don't think that are actually big issues for you and stressors actually kind of turn into the biggest blessings. And just having the blind faith to resign and not really know what Build Pursuits is going to be. And it's not like you had a book of clients lined up, ready to go. It was really just having a faith and diving 100% into something. Just like you said, if you're not doing it, you can't do it.
Yeah.
And that's awesome, man. So to talk about Build Pursuits real quick, and before we do that, I want to hit on Cocodona, because that's a big race that a lot of people know about. You have now done it twice.
I have.
So talk about that experience, say a little bit about the race.
Ooh.
And yeah. We haven't really talked about the last race yet. I know there was a lot of issues on the back end of this one. You're getting ready to get surgery and you haven't been able to really run as much as you would like, but you found biking.
I did.
Which has been a huge benefit for you. So yeah, talk a little bit about Cocodona and kind of what that's been like.
Yeah, dude. Like when it was basically like even back after I'd done like my first 100, I'm like, wait a second, there's people out there running 250 miles. It's like, what? It's kind of like one of those things again. It's like, what? How do people run a marathon? How am I going to run a 10K? All this stuff. But it's like, dang, these people are superhuman. It's like, there's no way that a normal person can do this,
Yeah.
And so it was like to go back to 2023, when I signed up, when I registered for Mohican 100, Green River 100, and Grand Canyon, rim to rim to rim, it's roughly 250 miles.
Yeah.
Right. So I wanted to see over that time frame, how would my body take 250 miles worth of hard efforts?
Yeah.
And not really telling anybody else except for Sarah. She knew, because it's kind of like wanting to do Cocodona, so the two, but you tell somebody else you're going to do a 250-mile race, they're going to look at you and be like, seriously, man, what do you, And so, but I set it up that way. I'm like, that's almost 250 miles. I want to see what I can do. And it went well. I felt great because, again, strength training, nutrition, how is this all going to work and stuff, And so as soon as I climbed out of the Grand Canyon that night as well, so I didn't know what the God moment was yet at that point, but also I knew I'm running Cocodona 250. I'm going to sign up. And so then in 24, when the race started for the 24 edition, it's kind of funny. It was like the race had already been going on for like a day. And I looked at Sarah. We were watching it, the live stream. I was like, so should I go ahead and sign up for next year? And she was like, what are you waiting on? So I'm like, I'm going to go ahead and go do it. And dude, I think like a day later into the race, I was the 51st person to sign up for the race. The next year, it sold out in like a second. So it's like, so it's like, and now it's a lottery system. And so it's like, so that just goes to show the massive popularity in that race all of a sudden. Yeah, man, went and again, so this is when I hired a coach. I'm like, okay, so I need somebody. So it was in October of 24. I hired a coach. And so I'm already coaching and stuff to that point as well. And kind of just doing my own thing, doing my plans, doing all this stuff. And then I hired my coach to come on for Cocodona. And and absolutely, the dude's amazing. He's great. And so then, so I ended up doing Cocodona, wanted to finish, I wanted to finish in the 80 hours time frame. Feet got massively blistered, dude.
I remember
But also,
seeing them. That was
yeah,
crazy.
dude, it was bad. So end up finishing in, what was it, 98 hours, 56 minutes. That included about 6.5 hours of sleep. So
Okay.
people like to know that as well. But, just overall is like, just try to eat, trying to do things, just trying to figure it out as the whole thing goes along, and what does sleep look like and stuff. And I remember getting to the end of that race and my coach was standing at the finish line and I finished. I'm like, never again, never again. This is not happening. This is ridiculous. I am just beat,
Yeah.
And he was like, well, he's like, one thing though, he's like, now you know what you're getting yourself into. He's like,
Yeah.
now you know that you got the experience. I'm like, crap. I know what that means. I'm coming back.
You're locked
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah. Yeah. So ended up actually being on the wait list for this past year
Okay.
until March. And the race was May 4th is when it
Okay.
started. So trained like crazy, like we were just trained like crazy. But in the meantime, so it was actually in August of 25, training for my 100-mile race in 25 and stuff. Ended up feeling like a little bit of a pop in my pubic bone
Yeah.
area. And long story short, kind of fast forward on just the diagnosis and just everything that went through to get that double hernias. And so man, that I don't know if you want to go ahead and go into Cocodona this year or not, but
Yeah, we can. I would love, just because we haven't talked really a lot about it, and I've just seen
yeah,
what you've posted on social. But yeah,
yeah,
just kind of talk about what that injury was like. And I know now getting surgery, we can kind of hit on that and what that was like.
yeah. So I think everything happens for a reason. I
Yeah.
do. And I had, so dad passed away in January of this year. And so that was definitely super, super heavy.
Yeah.
Because he was there last year and he wasn't going to be there this year, at the finish line. So that was definitely kind of just a heavy moment that was on there. But it's like, I just wanted to just go there. And just for some reason, the goal of 78 hours was in my head. And I kept on telling and, told Sarah and I told my mom, it's like, for some reason, man, I keep on thinking 78 hours. I keep thinking
Yeah.
78. And so mom was like, well, you realize that your dad was 78 years old when he passed away. And I was like, I guess so. Maybe that's why. Maybe it's just him pushing me,
Yeah.
And so we ended up going into that race. And man, I felt my hernias. I felt my adductors. I felt everything just completely
Yeah.
goes down at mile 75. Or I'm sorry, mile 15.
Okay.
At mile 15. And so then saw my crew for the first time at mile 36 and got in there and was there for 15 minutes left and took off. And I did not know this until Sarah told me just not long ago. She was like, you didn't say anything about, being in pain, but we could see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she was like, you took off. And she was like, I could see you hitting your leg. You're like almost like punching your leg. And she was like, and I didn't realize I did that. I don't know, but I was in pain, man. It hurt. And by the time
Yeah.
I got to them at 76, I couldn't push off my right leg, my foot, and could not straighten my leg. So ended up, didn't know it, but I mean, my leg kind of started swelling up and everything, got massage on it multiple times. Did not know it until after the race, but I'd also partially tore my right calf muscle.
Really?
And
See,
that was
I
before,
didn't know that at all.
yeah. And that was before 76. And, that dude, it hurt. Gosh dang, it hurt so bad.
Yeah.
And so then, but my team is just amazing. They were with me. But I had a moment, man. I had several moments. I just wanted to quit. I just wanted to be done. And I kept on telling myself that people will understand. It's like, you're a freaking train wreck going down this trail right now. People are going to understand why you quit.
Yeah.
And but kept going, kept going. But my pacer and I got into Sedona right before mile 159. So this is maybe like 157, mile 157 of the race. And it was getting so hot. I was hurting so bad. I just wanted to be done. I'm like, I can't go another 100 miles. I just can't do this anymore. I gotta be done. And so I started thinking in my head, it's like, this is how I'm gonna tell everybody. This is gonna, and I'm just gonna say is like, I am just in so much pain. When I get into this aid station, I'm just in so much pain. I just cannot go on. I just can't do it as I'm mentally just drained. And again, I think it's a God moment, dude. I picture one of my younger athletes. She looked at me as I told her that I quit. And she's like, okay, but coach, were you still moving?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I pictured that. I heard it. I saw it. I saw the conversation, man. So got into that next aid station. I fell, hit my face at a rock. So I'm out bleeding from my face. And I'm like, good golly, my mom's there. So I've seen her for the first time in the race. I got blood just dripping down my face. And I got in there. I'm like, I just need to sleep. I just need to
Yeah.
sleep. And one of my pacers told me after the fact, like we talked like the next week after this. And he was like, dude, he's like, I know you were in so much pain. He was like, when you were out on the trail, he's like, yeah, you definitely mentioned being done. You definitely mentioned quitting. You definitely
Yeah.
mentioned that all. He was like, but one thing that we noticed when you got into the aid stations and with the crew is that you never said one word about quitting. You never said one word that you were done. You would just say, I need to sleep. I need to get some rest. I need some food and let's go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I guess I didn't realize that either. You get
Yeah.
so caught up in the pain, you get so caught up in all this stuff. That's why it's important to have good people around you. But because when you get into these races, your judgment, your mind is so clouded on everything, on
Yeah.
all the stuff. But you have, people around that are like immediately just swarming you, just taking care of you, getting you in bed, you're back out,
Yeah. So
and
what was that feeling like, that self-talk, telling yourself that you wanted to quit, you were gonna quit? How did you kind of snap out of that? How did you bring yourself back to kind of keep going? Like, I know you talked about one of your athletes being an inspiration and not kind of dropping the bar on your standard, but what got you through that, man?
yeah, man, it's hard. I sometimes I don't know.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's like I'd love to have a grand, like a perfect answer, but a lot of just keep moving because then there's finish line pictures, and there's even pictures of me going down the trail instead of two. Dude, I'm like sideways. My back was like giving out as well. So my back was like toast
Yeah.
and it just hurt so bad. I remember one of my other pacers, like, dude, I'm laying on the middle of the trail
Yeah.
in the middle of the night out there and he's like rubbing my back. He's like just trying to like, get this knot out of my back and stuff. And it was like, it just hurt so bad.
Yeah.
And so then I'm like, you know what? But it just was like, I don't know if it was stubbornness took over. I don't know if it was God that just kept on just saying, just keep pushing it and just keep pushing it, And it's like, because the last time that too, that I definitely, again, I thought I was done. I thought I was done is when there's Mount Eldon is the last climb of the race. And so that section itself, I don't know, it's like 20 miles, less than 20 miles, somewhere in there. But it's like a 4,000 foot climb over Mount Eldon and back down. And so that's in there. And so then this is the last, I mean, you're doing that climb. You're coming back down the backside of that mountain, 245, 50 miles into this race. But so I got into that aid station. I slept again. Dude, I slept so much. And that's what kind of bothers me to this day about how much I slept. But I think that I needed it just because I was so mentally exhausted.
Yeah.
But I remember waking up from that nap and I started crying because I was afraid. And I had told Sarah on the phone the night before when I was with my pacer, just a few hours before this whole moment or whatever it was. I'm like, I can't climb Mount Eldon. I just can't do it. I cannot climb it in this condition because
Yeah.
I can't stand up straight. My legs are killing me. My adductor, my hernias, everything is just killing me. I just got to be done. Got to be done. And dude, you're 20 miles left of a 250-mile race and I'm going to quit. And it's like, but I started crying. I'm like, I'm scared. I'm scared. I was like, I think if I get to the top of that mountain, I don't think I'm coming back down. And they're like, you're going to. And my buddy Cody and Nico, they had ran the race. But Cody called me, perfect timing, all I can say. And but I was asleep, and so I saw that he had called me, so I called him back, and he's like, "Hey man, how you doing?" And dude, I just broke into tears again. I was
Yeah.
like, "I've never been scared during a race, never." I was like, "I don't think I can do it." And he was like, "But dude," he was like, "You know what? This is what we do." And I'm like, "Yeah, it is." And I'm like, so to sat there for a little bit longer. One of my other pacers, Jordan, he's like massaging my back. He's like just taking care of me, man. All of them are taking care of me. They're, getting me food. They're getting this. They're doing that. They're doing this. They're doing that. And it's kind of funny. There's, as we're all getting together and stuff, kind of just taking a few pictures and everything, go to the aid station because you have to check out. You have to tell them you're leaving. And so the one aid station volunteer, he looked at me, he's like, okay, because you also have required gear. So it gets cold up on Eldon if you're up there in the middle of the night. And so who
Yeah.
knows? It might take you a few hours. It might take you 10. You never know.
To
And
get up
so
that. Yeah.
yeah, so you got the cold, the environment, all that stuff, and there's just you're climbing this mountain, it's just cold. But anyway, so he looked at me and he started going through all the required gear, all the list. He's like, "You got this, you got that, you got this, you got that." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, 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 yeah." And he's like, "Do you got your buckle?" I was like, "Not yet, but we're about to." And so we ended up going to the trailhead, teams there, and it's kind of funny. There's a picture of me walking away, and everyone's standing there, and it was almost just kind of like this dude's getting ready to go off to war. This
Literally.
everybody's sending him down the way. It's like we don't know if we're ever going to see him again, and it kind of felt like that. It's like, dude,
You
I
might
missed
not
my
make it
end.
back down the backside of the mountain.
Right, I'm falling down this sucker.
Just, oh man, that's incredible, dude. I know. I'll let you talk about the finish real quick before we kind of wrap up here and kind of talk about your business and training. But what was that climb like? You made the climb, you get down to the backside, and you're coming down. You said you probably have about 5 miles left after that to
Yeah,
finish it.
roughly. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what was that feeling like when you got to the top of that
Dude.
mountain, knowing that you just said to yourself, however many hours ago, that you don't think you can climb it?
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, it was just one of those things. Ended up meeting a buddy that I had no idea who he was. Nothing like that. No clue.
Yeah.
And we ended up kind of like teaming up a little bit. And, we connected and we talked to this day. He's such a good guy.
Yeah.
But we're heading up this thing, and just kind of just going back and forth, back and forth. And, I'm struggling and stuff too. But we get to the top of this thing. And as I'm getting to the top, my buddy Nico calls me, but and then all of a sudden my coach and his wife are running down. They're interviewing runners and stuff too, because he has a podcast.
Yeah.
And so I just heard that interview the other day for the first time. And dude, my gosh, man, talk about just bringing back memories. And so I've been reliving this so much. It's been awesome. But get to the top, Cody calls me again. Again, I don't know how that dude's got his timing, but he's got his timing. And he's like, and I was like, dude, and I was like, it's crazy. I was like, I was just thinking about you. And he's like, well, I was just thinking about you too. So that's why I called. And I was like, yeah. I was like, we're at the top. And he was like, I feared you probably were. And I was like, I don't know how we did it, but we got to the top. And it's like, now I just need to get down and do that climb down that thing. I don't know anyone else to describe it except for hopping down rocks the whole way, and it's, yeah, there's some a little bit runnable, but for the most part, I have a torn calf muscle. I have hernias. My adductors are screaming at me. My whole body's just completely just tore up, and I got to climb down these rocks now. So I'm
Running's the
using
last thing you're thinking about.
yeah, and I'm using my trekking poles to like guide me down. And what one of my trekking poles snaps, and so like I'm telling you, God, if anything else could go wrong, I'm going to like literally.
I'm just gonna roll down the side of the hill.
It's like what? I mean, it can't hurt anymore, right? So
Yeah.
everything's already toast. But I've got down that thing, man, and ended up seeing again, part of the community. She's a friend, she's out of state and stuff as well. But anyway, I'd seen her previously in the race, and it's so amazing. Again, met her, see her, and we're connected and stuff as well. But ended up seeing her at that last aid station. Dude, I lost it with her, and just we cried, and just again, it's like, how do we do it? How do we do it? And so I ended up getting to that aid station and stuff, and it was like almost there. And I'm like, got several miles left, a few miles left, whatever it is, but it's like, we made it, and it's like, And dude, I'll be honest with you, is like, it's going to the last part of that, seeing my crew, they can come and join you like a mile out or something like that. And so then was with them, and then Sarah and Bailey, and I posted that reel today.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
dude.
incredible, man.
Yeah.
Your
And it
daughter
just,
is going to remember that for forever. Man,
yeah,
that's
it's
incredible.
just pushing through to that moment,
Yeah.
and it's like, but I truly believe now, again, I don't want to sound arrogant in this, but I truly believe I can do anything that I want to do
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
of all that. I
Yeah.
do. And I think that God gave me that race. And my coach said that to me. He's like, you got the race that you needed.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think I did. I did. It wasn't what I wanted.
Yeah.
It didn't go how I wanted it to go. And good God, I didn't want all that pain. But now I got exactly what I needed. And, this time off has helped me realize that as well. Been, biking a lot and doing all that stuff too. And, and with my athletes and taking care of them and stuff too. But it's helped me to realize, like, dang, it's helped me put a lot into perspective on how I can do better, just in my coaching, but also in my everyday, but also just different things, man. I'm telling you, it's a blessing in disguise. It truly it is. So now we're
Man,
going bigger and better, bigger, all that stuff. And it's like, so I'm already in. I made the lottery for Cocodona.
nice. You're crazy, man. You're crazy. I wanna do a big one. I know my next big thing is the half Ironman. That's
Yeah.
something I think I'm gonna truly. I can go and do the high rocks. I can go and have fun at the competitions and do the marathon. But I think this right now. I feel like I'm in incredible shape,
Heck yeah, you are.
and I'm not even training for anything. So I'm like, how much harder can I really push to get my body and to get my running to where I need it to be? And I think just throwing that on there and setting that expectation. I know I talked to you after doing the Pelotonia that I'm going to need a coach, and I'm just, man, I'm excited to just have that moment, like be in the pain cave, be in a world of hurt. I know the swim for me is probably going to be one of the toughest things, and just go through that training and like be in the dark, and just you find out a lot about yourself. And that's something I've just even realized, just not even training for something, but some of these mornings when you don't want to wake up, you don't want to get out of bed, especially here in Ohio when it's cold, and sometimes you have to go outside and run, and you're throwing on a sweatshirt and sweatpants and gloves, and it sucks, but you learn so much about yourself when you go through that and go through, I think, just being uncomfortable. I know guys like you and me, I think we kind of like it a little bit. I think you just kind of enjoy the pain, and not even, it's weird. And I don't know how to explain it. Like, some people will ask me, like, why do you do that? I just genuinely enjoy it. I enjoy learning about myself, and because you can reflect so much, because sometimes, like, especially with running in the endurance space, you're by yourself. Like, you're not really on a team. You're accountable for yourself, and it's up to you how well you do and how bad you do. You can't blame anybody else.
So
And
true. Yeah.
unless there's acts of God that happen, you can't control weather, you can't control an injury, but at the end of the day, it's really on you. And I think it's awesome, man. I want to hit on a couple of things before we wrap this up here, and just talk about Build Pursuits and what you want, your goals for that, and kind of what that looks like right now in regards to how you're training your clients. What do you like to do? And just, yeah, kind of speak on it, and tell people too, like, I'm going to post all your socials, and we can get to that in the chat for our description. But yeah, I want you to just kind of explain like what you're doing. And I love it. I love what you're driving. I love seeing all your posts and kind of your approach to training. And I kind of got a funny question for you that I want to hit on and get your take. You had texted me about something this week, and I kind of want to get your take on it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So no, it's, yeah, man, it's, first off, I'll say that, when you're talking about like your half Ironman, I'll say this real quick, because it kind of leads into my coaching as well a little bit. It's like, if sometimes athletes will ask me, it's like, should I do this? Should I do that? And my question is, if you really truly feel like you want to do that, if it's really speaking to you, then that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
Not just because someone else is doing it, not just because it's the cool thing to do, not because of whatever. It's like, If that's what's speaking to you, then I mean that first 100, man, it taught me a ton about myself, and that's what that half Ironman is going to do for you as well. And so, dude, I'm super stoked for you, super
I
proud of you,
appreciate it.
just
I
for going after
appreciate
it.
it.
Because again, you could easily say the swim scares me, you
Yeah.
know,
Oh, I'm terrified. I'm definitely
that's why I'm
terrified.
not going to do it. And you can easily just back off of that. But
Yeah.
instead of letting that fear, like what I talked about earlier with Mount Eldon and stuff as well, instead of letting that fear keeping you stagnant, holding you back from that, instead, you know what? No, that's why I'm going to do it because I'm going to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to dive into that
Yeah.
literally. But also, then we're going to figure it out. And I think and that's kind of what whole Build Pursuits is all about and stuff as well. It's like, whether it be a road race or a trail race, my passion, honestly, it's like, even with the races that I do, dude, there's something about 100 miles. Gosh, I
Yeah.
love 100 miles. But
You're crazy.
this multi-day stuff though, man, one day I can see you maybe possibly doing.
I think I will. I think I will. It's like I know with two little kids, I gotta pick and
Yeah.
choose what I
Yeah.
do. And I know having the resources, I know that's why we invested in the treadmill. The trainer has been huge for the bike because especially here in Ohio, it gets a little colder. I mean, there's not a lot of places unless me driving to like downtown or driving somewhere to ride my bike. It's hard around Pickerington and Canal. There's not a lot of trails, and I'm not big on just doing loops sometimes. So I need to go like to the Olentangy Trail or go like out towards Delaware, or like even just country roads. I can only go so far to Baltimore and back before it gets a little dicey being on the road. But yeah, like having access, the biggest thing is just the pool. Once we get like somewhere, that'll be fine to leave for a few hours. But being here, being able to be right downstairs, if something going on with the girls, I can run up real quick. It's easy. So I want to challenge myself. I just think that's something that's going to be, it's terrifying because the
Yeah.
swim to me is terrifying. I haven't swam in I don't know how long, and I'm just excited to kind of go through that and do it, man. I'm
Super
excited.
stoked for you. Super stoked.
I
So that's what,
appreciate it.
again, it's kind of what, Build Pursuits is all about is like, on something like that is like, let's go into it together,
Yeah.
is like, when one of my athletes comes to me or, just possibly a new athlete comes to me is like, this is what I'm thinking is like, I take your journey on as it's my own. We're
Yeah.
going to build through this together. We're going to learn through this together. We're going to get you to the finish line. And so my goal is to see you succeed and to feel that success. And it's like, it's so fun to dive into the logistics to where it's like, I know what it was like to figure this thing out like by myself, but then also I know what it's like to also work with a coach. So I think that, me gaining all of what I did, I think was just again God's way of just saying, okay, this is just the way that you're going to educate yourself to where then you can pass. And so then that's what I just want to do is pass on to where it's like, my cross country high school athletes, try to give them as much knowledge as I possibly can, as much as they want, you know? But also it's like, even if you're running a road race, running a 5K and, half marathon, but then also it's like, if we're getting ready to do up to 240 miles, it's like, okay, so it's like, let's do it, it's like Coca Donut. It's like, let's do it. And so, but yeah, and so it's definitely one thing again, just like taking on the journey together and how we're going to get there together.
Yeah.
But also at the same time is like, through the salt test, and you kind of brought that up as well a little bit earlier and like figuring out the nutrition. Okay. It's had an awesome conversation with a guy today just on carbs and salt and just all this stuff. And it's like just going through different scenarios and just everything. And it's like kind of nerding out over it just a little bit. And I enjoy that. I do. And it's like, like what I always tell everybody too, is like, you get out what you put in. And so it's like, I know what it feels like to be sick during these races. I don't want to be there again. So let's try to do everything we possibly can for you, but every individual is different. But it's
Yeah.
like, how can we figure that out together?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome, man. I love what you do too. I feel like you're really good at meeting people where they're at. I want to go into this. You had texted me a comment that someone had posted on one of your Instagram posts about everyone wants to be a running coach or everyone is a running coach nowadays. And just that what's wrong with the guy going to make a 5K plan on AI, which I love AI. I use it a lot for work. I'm not against it by any means, but break down the difference. Like, yes, you can go and throw in a prompt into AI, and maybe you can get a strength plan and you can get a running plan. But all the other things that we've talked about, the SALT test, the nutrition, and how to really add that into your programming that complements your running. That's AI is not going to do that. It can give you two basic generic plans that it's pulling from all these different websites, but really speak on how or why hire a running coach. Like when I go into this half Ironman, I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to swimming. I figured out the biking to train for Pelotonia, but it was kind of like you said, yeah, trial and error. And running, I can figure out, but I also like want to go into this, and this will be my first time hiring a coach. And I want to actually get with someone that knows more than I do. And without me trying to do trial and error while I'm trying to train. Because yeah, you can do that. You can do research, but speak on why hiring a coach is so important.
Yeah. Again, I'll use the guy today as an example. So he's training for 100. And and we were going over his plan. And so we were talking about that as well. And so the main thing is, again, and you said it there just a little bit ago as well. It's like, with my family time, what can I do? What can I figure out within that? Well, you can definitely tell, like, an AI or like, okay, well, I got 4 days, figure it out for me and stuff as well. Okay, but what if all of a sudden then that plan just immediately fails on day 2?
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, Brock, I went out and I ran 3 miles on Wednesday and my stomach started hurting. I started getting cramps. Okay. So yeah, and you could plug into AI, you could plug into stuff. Okay. It was degree temperature. It was on and on and on and on and on, whatever there too. But then all of a sudden it's like, as I'm talking to you, and it's like, okay, but wait a second. Did you eat anything before? Well, no,
Yeah.
I never do. Okay, well, that might have been why you're cramping and stuff as well, because then we go into this together as a team.
Yeah.
And it's like just that personal interaction that you and I can have together and just sitting back and troubleshooting, because you may not think to tell AI that you didn't eat anything this morning,
Yeah.
but again, from personal experience, when I went into a run fasted and I see what I feel like, or if I'm just using this one electrolyte that doesn't have the amount of sodium in it that I need for me,
Yeah.
because everybody's totally different. Everybody just automatically assumes because it's hot outside, because I'm sweating, I need more salt. That's not the case whatsoever. I mean, that could definitely lead to disaster massively. So not
Yeah.
enough salt or too much salt, both ways. So just with things like that, to where it's like, okay, but let's sit down together. And yeah, like you said, AI does have its place. It does, just for even just troubleshooting just different things and stuff as well. But just for a plan, for a strength plan, to figure out the nutrition, to figure out all this stuff as well, it's so overwhelming to sit down and be like, okay, but did I think of this? Did I think of that? Especially for a new runner. Because what do we want to do as a new runner? We want to run fast. That's the number one thing. I want to run that 5K as fast as I possibly can. And so what does AI do? Has you on day 2 running speed drills. And it's like, and it didn't say anything about, did you stretch? Did you do some mobility? Did you do
Yeah.
anything like that? Or did it just tell you to go out there and warm up for half a mile? And then now all of a sudden we're doing 800-meter repeats for all day long. And it's like, and then you wonder why, like I did, you wonder why you failed. And so it's
Yeah.
like, and so then AI can't, I don't know. It's just better to have that troubleshooting partner along the
Yeah.
way with
Yeah.
you. Because then again, when we could go over logistics, when it gets into these longer races and stuff too, you need help figuring it out. That's just
Yeah.
it.
I mean, that's the number one key right there is, when do I take, if I'm going to do gels, you could throw into AI, what's the recommended miles, but maybe that's not, if you're 150 pounds and then you're 200 pounds, there's going to be a big difference in how many carbs you need per hour, how many electrolytes you need 2 hours. This is the biggest one that killed me, I think, in my first marathon versus the half that I did, was the lead up to the carb loading. Is like, no, you don't want to have 100 grams of carbs if you didn't strategically set that up the day before your race. You have to implement it. And this Emily did a great job with the nutrition piece. And I allowed her to kind of work with me for the half, and even just the electrolytes. Having too much water, you're going to dilute your system, and then you're just going to pee out all the electrolytes that you had. There's got to be a healthy balance between your body type, how you're processing foods in your body, what carbs are going to work best for you. I'm by no means a expert in the nutrition side of things, but it's very interesting. And now going into when we did the Pelotonia, I was talking to Emily. That's why I'm so excited for the half, was like, I could kill the bike. I could absolutely murder the bike because I think I felt so good, and we were fueling properly while we were doing it. It wasn't even like a big race or anything, but even just doing 66 miles, you need to have fuel in your body.
Totally. Yeah.
And man, I'm excited. I'm excited just for you and just all that you have going for you and all the stuff outside of just your own personal running, and just to see Build Pursuits grow, and just all the things that you've done, man. A couple questions here, but before we wrap up, just want to ask this to every guest. I know we've talked about faith, and if you could give your younger self a piece of advice, what would it be and why?
Dude, I used to let so much hold me back.
Yeah.
Whether it was like people saying something, or just fear of failure, fear of embarrassment, fear of stepping out of your comfort zone held me back for so long, and, it's so I'm 44 years old, and, and I can't say that I really stepped out of my comfort zone just till a few years ago when I did my first 100.
Yeah.
And it's like, but all of a sudden when you start hearing that voice just kind of just start guiding you, it's like, who cares what other people think?
Yeah.
And if I would have told myself that so long ago and not hold myself back in that, you hate to say it's like, oh man, what could have been and what could have happened and all that stuff too, because I do believe that this is the path that I was supposed to be on for a reason. I do. But also at the same time, it does make you kind of wonder. It's like, if I could go back and tell my younger self, is like, do what is in your heart. That's it. So, let your faith guide you, let God guide you, and not what other people say or do.
Amen, man. Amen. I'm proud of you, man. We've known each other for just a short time, but have been nothing but inspirational to me, and supportive, and just a good dude all around. And I'm excited to, like I said, see what you do, to continue to see you grow, and you're exactly where you're supposed to be, man. I'm excited for you, and I appreciate you again coming on. Where can everybody find you? Social media?
Yeah. So social media Instagram is at Build Pursuits, Brock Everhart on Facebook. The website is currently being worked on. That's buildpursuits.com. But it's been a ton of fun, man. Just love connecting with people, and just, I'm coaching remotely, coaching in person, but we're across the pond, man, in other countries and stuff there too. And so
I know that's awesome.
Yeah, it's super cool. And just getting to connect with so many different people, and just everything that they have going on, dude, is just, it's been amazing. It truly has.
I appreciate that. Well, Brock, thank you so much for coming on for another episode of Between the Reps. I wish you well. I know we'll talk and speak outside of here, but I hope nothing but the best for you and your family, and I hope you have a great rest of the year, and best of luck on surgery, man.
Dude, I appreciate you, brother.
No problem. No problem.